Evening. Bonuses tonight go to Paul Craig, Tommy Aspinall, and Danny Roberts versus Johnny Parsons. The gate tonight was 15,078 for 2.5 million USD. We had two transports, Daniel Marcos and Yanel Ajmuz, and open up to any questions.
Done it.
Hey.
I feel like we ask you this every time, but, crowd, again, amazing in that main event, very loud. What's your thoughts on this trip to London?
Trip was great. I mean, it feels like home, right? Like we've been here, I guess, 4 times in the last 18 months. So for us, coming off a pay-per-view in March, where it was a very intense week, big week, lots going on, big card, Dana and the whole crew, everyone here, it felt a little bit more manageable, but it felt like home, right? Like we've been in the O2 so many times now. I think for our crews, for the teams, it was fairly straightforward. Really nice to be in the city. The city also felt a little quieter this week. I don't know if everyone's watching the Ashes or they're up in Liverpool for the Open, but it was great. I think we had 12 fighters from UK and Ireland. We had 12 different nationalities represented. So like most of the cards that we do in London is a real celebration of European MMA with your requisite Brazilians and Americans fighting as well. So it was great. It's tremendous being back here always.
Cool. What do you think your schedule looks like for the UK coming forward, right? You've got two, like I said, 2 this year. One of those was pay-per-view and we had Leon as the champion, so it made sense. Do you think it could still be 2, 3 a year, or do you think you're going to slow down, maybe just let the market sort of stay hungry?
For the UK?
Yes.
No, I think we're going to continue with 2 a year at a minimum. I think what we're probably going to do in 2024 is move outside of London for one of the fights. So I don't think we're going to have 2 fights per year in London, but you never know what Dana wants to do depending on who's holding the belt and where people are ranked. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's been a while since we've been in Glasgow. It's been a while since we've been in Manchester. A lot of people, we want to get back to Dublin. There's a lot of places we want to go. So expect that to take on a slightly different complexion next year.
Whenever people talk about locations in the UK, if you guys go to the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, it's often brought up as like a big venue. Is there any interest in that, or are you just going to stick to arenas and focus on knowing what you can produce here?
I think, generally sticking to arenas unless there's some special circumstances. Stadiums are tough. I mean, you've been to most of the ones that we've, the 6 that we've had or whatever the number is. They're tough. They're big. It's not the best viewing experience, but it's fitting for when the stars align. You've got the right fights, the right moment in our calendar, and we can de-risk in terms of weather. We can de-risk in terms of production costs. If there's the availability of some sort of local support, government support, it might make it a bit more manageable. But for us, the sweet spot is an arena with 15,000 people.
So it needs a special fight, like, say, Tom Aspinall versus John Jones in 2024, something like that?
I mean, he's got it all mapped out. If he's going to Paris, he's going to sit there and watch the Gane fight and take on that winner, perhaps. We'll see that happen late 2024.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, just over here. You mentioned Dublin there. Obviously, Sean O'Bannon made her UFC debut tonight. It seemed like there was a lot of push from the UFC ahead of it. Obviously, didn't go her way. But is the Irish market, is that one that you're looking to reach back into to return to Dublin next year?
Yes. Yeah, the short answer is yes. It was pointed out earlier on by one of the key guys on our digital media team that next July will mark 10 years since the Conor fight. And, top of the list for sure. We want to get back. We want to get back at some point, just not sure when.
Are the UFC actively looking to sign more Irish fighters? Rhys McKee was just re-signed. Caelan Loughran just added. It seems a lot of people are expecting Paul Hughes to be the next.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question you got to ask Sean or Mick or Hunter on that one. But certainly, if you see the last couple of years, several more athletes coming into the mix, and I think that lends itself well to returning back to Ireland at some point soon. Sorry. Yeah,
Michael Venom Page was in the audience tonight, and he's now
a
free agent. Would the UFC have any interest in him?
I mean, perhaps. I've got no idea. You assume that we would, given the fact that he's here and maybe he's a free agent, but definitely a question for Dana. I think there's, we were talking about it the other day, a long list of individuals who've come over, done really well in other promotions and have come over. And I mean, look at, Gaethje and Chandler and a few other guys. It'd be pretty exciting to add them to the mix, for sure.
And the only guy in the kind of towards the top of the heavyweight division that doesn't seem to have anything booked yet, as far as I'm aware, is Sergey Pavlovich. Is there any idea what could be happening with him next, or would he be next in line for a title shot after the John Jones-Stipe fight?
Not that I know. Sorry.
Dave down here. I know the pandemic threw off plans for global expansion, in particular with Africa. But can you provide an update on that? Because I remember when I spoke to you a few years ago, you were very enthusiastic and passionate about touching down there. So what's the status update with that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're making progress. We don't have anything definitive to report. We've been having a number of conversations around what it's going to take, what country to go to. If you've been listening to some of Dana's interviews and Lawrence's interviews over the past 4 or 5 months, like it's starting to gain a bit of momentum. Again, nothing to report now, but I'd be confident confident saying that maybe mid to late next year, maybe 2025. But it's top of the list right now in terms of new territories, new countries and continents we've never been to.
And obviously, you've been scouting this for a while. Do you have a short list of countries that are top contenders?
We do. Yeah, I mean, first of all, you got to look at things like where does the infrastructure exist? Where's the suitable venue? We're not going to go to a big rugby pitch that's outdoors. We're not going to go to a big soccer stadium. So it's going to be an indoor venue. South Africa, Rwanda, Senegal, maybe Cameroon. I think there's more. There's a number of projects that we believe are starting to gain a bit of traction to build more, let's say, westernized arenas that are managed well and are suitable for our sport, like a traditional kind of hockey or basketball arena. So that's the first question that we need to answer. The second, and this all comes down to Dana, is where do we want to go based on what athletes we want to have on the card? Who knows, what the next move is with Dricus. Maybe South Africa does make sense. But Izzy's been campaigning. Usman's been campaigning. So nothing to report yet, but something that we're confident will happen in the next couple of years.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks for all the support this week.